that slow. So if you can see that, hopefully you can. What you end up with is a seam. Just got to exaggerate it here so you can see it right along the bottom. And the other side is still smooth. A little bit of flour there. Now we're going to roll it out to the appropriate length. And try to get the right part here. Yeah. That's our seam. The seam side goes down. Put on parchment paper. Alright, so there we go. 2 batards, and that's the right proportions right there. Those things are going to come real darn close to running into each other, but somewhere along the proofing process, if I need to, I can kind of pull this up in the middle to keep them. Alright, now let's do the bowl. Just because I'm working with smaller pans here, I'm going to do about the same weight this time. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to do 20 ounces. Alright, this one's pretty straightforward. Get a little more dusting of flour there. It's almost like when you're kneading it. I'm just going to fold, so you can see this. I'm just kind of working it in a circle, pulling the outside to the middle. And again, the cut side was up. That's always true with all bread when you make it. Cut side's up, the outer part, skin part was down. Okay, so now I've kind of almost kneaded it again. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to pinch and turn. Like this. Now, what you want to do here, because it really doesn't matter how tight you get the bottom, really, what you want to get is the top pulled under, so you have a nice firm outer skin there. Like that. Pan. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loaves all together with 5 pounds of flour. Alright, so I'm going to check in a little bit later when we're ready to score these and put them in the oven. Okay, so here we are. We're about 11 hours later. I'd like to go longer than this, but the starter was very active, so pushing this along faster than I'd probably like to, but it'll still turn out pretty good. The loaves here have just about doubled in size. These are the first 2 that I made, the batards. So what I have in the oven right now is a pan of hot water. The oven itself is heated to 420 degrees. I'd actually like to go hotter than that, but the parchment paper is only certified to work at that temperature. Hotter than that, it can actually start to burn. So here we go. So what we need to do before we even think about putting these things in the oven is get some steam going. So I've got like I said, a hot pan of water in here. And I'm going to add a splash of hot water right inside the bottom of the oven. Now I would normally do this with a squirt bottle. We don't have one. After I've done that, just get a little flour dusted on top of these. Not a whole lot. And there's actually a purpose for this. When I actually go to score the bread, if I don't have that little bit of flour on top of it, the knife is going to stick to it. If I had what's called a lame, which is basically a stick with a straight razor on it, or razor blade on it rather, that's not really necessary, but it still helps. But definitely if you're using a knife, you want to have something like flour on top of it, or even an egg wash or something like that, just so that it doesn't stick when you go to score.
Mama,
okay.
taste back the TV.
So the trick to scoring the bread is you want to actually go longer than you think in terms of the angle. When everything opens up, it'll be at an angle about like this, the apparent angle of it. But you actually want to score it like this. And you don't want to score straight down, you want to score at an angle at about 30 degrees, just guessing. So here we go. I'm going to make 3 slashes. I'll do it on this one too. This actually turns out a whole lot better if you do it with a lame. And I'm going to let those sit just for a second. And put these in the oven. Just a minute after I put it in the oven, I'm going to add a little more hot water so we got steam in there. Steam again helps the crust to open up farther, or the crust to spring open farther, to get larger without actually solidifying. If you don't have the steam in there, it'll harden before it's reached its maximum size. So this helps the crust to be a little bit thinner and crispier, strangely. So I'll be right back. Let me get some more water. Okay, alright, we're going into the oven. There should be a little bit of steam going on in there right now. Yes, in the face. And we're going to wait just a minute. I'm going to hit it one more time with steam. Again, squirt bottle for this sort of operation is ideal. If you don't have it, a cup of hot water will do. Right in the bottom of the oven. Lots of good steam. Alright, so we're going to check back in about 15 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes, and during this process I rotated the bread once about halfway through so that it browns more evenly. Also, I've prepared the other bread in advance. So we'll go ahead and take a look at it. But there's use this opportunity to show you some stuff. Alright, so this is okay. It's not awesome. This is more what we're looking for right here. And that's a successful score. I actually cut that properly. And it'll still taste good. And quite honestly, I think the bread should have proofed up a little bit longer. But most of the problems here are attributed to the lack of good scoring. So this is sort of the effect that you're looking for, and actually it would have been better if it was cut a little bit deeper. But these should open up very wide, permits the bread to rise up really well inside. But there are some things that are good about this. Still, if we look close here at the crust, if you can zoom in there, you can see that there's some bubbles on the crust.
Daddy!
That's good. That comes
Daddy!
in part from the fact that it's real, sourdough bread or real old world bread,
Mama,
and from the fact that it sat overnight for an extended period of time. So we'll get these other ones put in the oven in just a second. Alright, so there you have it. That's all the bread out of the oven. Had some things turn out a little bit better in some ways, and in other ways not so good, but that's bread for you. Lots of character, lots of flaws, and that's what makes it good too. So we can see here we've got lots of good bubble in the crust. That's what you want right there. You want to see it open up really well like that. That was about right. Pretty good, not perfect, but still pretty good. It's good color. Decently happy with the bread. Overall, the scoring could have been better. I think the kneading was successful, the consistency was successful. It probably should have proofed at least, I'd say, another hour. Would have been a little bit better, but impatience prevails. So there you go, decent bread.